The sun was a coin hammered flat against the sky when Layla first saw him. She had ridden 3 days across the dunes from her camp near Umerkot, her camel's bells the only sound in the white noon. The Tharparkar heat pressed on her like a hand on the back of the neck, but Layla's eyes, black, bright, unblinking, were fixed on the lone figure kneeling beside a half-dead peepal tree. He was digging a trench around the roots with a broken kurpi, the kind of iron tool a man uses when he has nothing else. His kurta clung to him with sweat the color of old tea. A straw hat wide as a winnowing basket hid his face. 3 skinny cows watched him from the shade of a thorn fence, chewing nothing. Layla halted her camel. The bell stopped. The man did not look up. She spoke first, voice low, carrying the accent of the Marwari tribes that drift between Sindh and Rajasthan. "You water a tree that has no business living here. Besub." The man straightened slowly. Dust streaked his cheeks. His eyes were the color of rain-wet sand, startled, shy, kind. "It remembers my mother," he said. "She planted it the year I was born. I can't let it forget her." Layla studied him. 28 summers, maybe 30. Narrow shoulders, calloused hands, the kind of quiet that comes from too many nights alone with stars and cattle. His name, she would learn, was Virji Megwal, last son of a line of small herders who owned 40 bighas of sand and 1 stubborn well. She swung down from the camel. Her silver anklets chimed. The red gagra she wore had once belonged to her grandmother. The border was stitched with tiny mirrors that threw spears of light. Men in the bazaar called her Rani because she rode like a man and bargained like a devil. The women called her Laila Mastani because she had refused every proposal since she was 16. "I need water," she said. Virji pointed to the well without a word. The rope was frayed, the pulley a rusted scream. She lowered the leather bucket herself, muscles moving under bronze skin. When she drank, she did not offer him the first sip. Tribal etiquette be damned. He watched the line of her throat, then looked away, cheeks burning. She wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. "I will camp here tonight." Virji opened his mouth, closed it. His hut was 1 room of mud and millet stalks. The roof leaked when it rained, which was once every 7 years. He had no wife, no sister, no mother anymore. Only the cows, the dying tree, and a radio that caught all India radio on good nights. "There is space under the neem," he managed. Layla smiled. Slow, like a cat deciding whether the mouse is worth the chase. "I don't need space. I need a child." The kurpi slipped from Virji's hand and struck the earth with a dull thud. She stayed a week. Every dawn she rose before him, milked the cows with hands that knew the udders better than he did, sang to them in a Rajasthani dialect older than borders. She fixed the pulley with wire from her saddlebag, deepened the well by 2 arm lengths, and scolded him for feeding the calves stale bajra. At night she sat outside his door, smoking beedies rolled in tendu leaf, telling stories of the Thar's ghosts. The woman who became a sandstorm to find her lover, the jackal who married a princess, the British collector who vanished chasing a mirage of water. Virji listened from inside, pretending to mend a harness, heart beating like a trapped bird. On the 7th night, the moon was a clipped nail. The radio played an old Lata song, "Aay dil hai mushkil jeena yahan," and the static made it sound as if the singer were crying. Layla entered without knocking. The room smelled of dung smoke and damp earth. Virji stood by the charpai, clutching a tin cup like a shield. She closed the door with her foot. "I am not asking for love," she said. "I am asking for seed. 1 night, no songs, no promises. When the child quickens, I leave. You will never see us again," Virji's voice cracked. "My father's line ends with me. If I give a child to the desert, your father's line is already dust," she cut in. "Look at your fields. Look at your well. The Thar takes everything. I offer you a different kind of forever." He stared at her. The lamp flame trembled between them, throwing gold on the curve of her collarbone. He had never touched a woman, not even in dreams. The village matchmakers had given up years ago. His nights were filled with the lowing of cows and the memory of his mother's lullabies. Layla stepped closer. "Say no and I ride at dawn. Say yes and we make a story the dunes will whisper for 100 years. Virji set the cup down. His hands shook, but his eyes were steady. "I want to know his name," he said. "The child. Boy or girl, I want to give the name." Layla's smile was small, almost tender. Done. They did not speak of it again until the moon had turned twice. Layla's belly grew round as a ripe melon. She wore her gagra higher, tied with a man's lungi for comfort. Virji built a cradle from neem wood, sanding it smooth with river stones. He spoke to the unborn through the wall of her stomach, voice soft, telling it about the peepal tree, about the cows named Channi, Kali, and Gulabo. The village elders came once. 3 old men with henned beards and turbans stiff with starch. They stood at the gate and demanded Virji marry her properly, or send her away. Layla met them with a sickle in one hand and a bowl of curd in the other. Marriage is a paper for cities, she said. Here the desert is witness. Go before I curse your wells to salt. They left muttering, but the women began leaving roadies and jaggery at the gate. A child from Layla's womb, they whispered, would be born with the strength of storms. The rains failed that year. By May, the earth split like old skin. Virji's cows grew thin as shadows. He sold his mother's silver bangles to buy fodder, then the radio, then the brass lota that had been in the family since the Mughals. Layla watched him count coins under the lamp and felt something sharp under her ribs. One night she found him at the well, drawing the last bucket. The rope snapped. Water, precious, dark, smelling of stone, spilled into the sand and vanished. Virji knelt, pressing his forehead to the wet patch as if it were a grave. Layla touched his shoulder. Come inside. He shook his head. Without water, the child. We'll drink camel milk and goat milk and the milk of stubborn men, she finished. But first you will drink. She led him to the hut, made him lie on the charpet. From her saddlebag, she took a small clay bottle sealed with wax. Inside was water from the sacred spring of Ketas, carried across the border by her cousin, who smuggled opium and saffron. She poured a capful into his mouth. It tasted of moss and miracles. Virji slept. Layla sat beside him, one hand on her belly, the other on his chest, feeling 2 hearts beat in stubborn rhythm. The child came early, during the first dust storm of June. The sky turned the color of dried blood. Wind screamed through the thorns like a woman in labor. Virji boiled water on a fire of camel dung, while Layla squatted on a mat of woven grass, hair plastered to her face, cursing in 3 languages. The midwife, a wiry Rajput woman who had delivered half the taluka, slapped Virji when he tried to hold Layla's hand. Men bring bad luck at birth. Go pray to your peepal tree. He stumbled out into the storm. Sand stung his eyes. He fell to his knees before the tree, its leaves rattling like bones. If you must take something, he shouted into the wind, take me. Not them, lightning answered, splitting the sky. For a moment the desert lit up. Every dune, every thorn, every star. And in that white flash, Virji saw the tree's roots glowing like veins of silver under the sand. He ran back. The storm broke as suddenly as it began. Rain, thin, warm, impossible, fell for 7 minutes, enough to fill the well to the brim. Inside, the child cried. A girl small as a fist, with Layla's mouth and Virji's rain-colored eyes. The midwife wrapped her in Virji's old kurta. Name her before the crows hear, she warned. Virji looked at Layla. She was pale, beautiful, terrifying. She nodded once. He touched the baby's forehead. Her name is Amrit, he said. Because she came with the rain. Layla stayed 40 days. She taught Amrit to grip her finger, taught Virji to mash bajra with goat milk, taught the cows to come when she whistled. On the 40th night, she packed her saddlebags, rolled her grandmother's gagra, kissed the peepal tree's trunk. Virji stood at the gate holding Amrit. The baby slept against his shoulder, thumb in mouth. I will send money, Layla said. Every season. You will never want. Virji's voice was raw. Will you come back? The desert is wide, she said. But children remember smells. When she is 7, I will bring her to see the tree. She will know her father's hands. She mounted her camel. The bells began their slow song. Virji watched until the red of her gagra became a speck, until the speck became a memory, until the memory became a star. 17 years passed. The peepal tree grew tall enough to throw shade on 3 cows and 1 stubborn man. The well never ran dry again. The villagers called it a miracle, and left offerings of marigolds. Virji's hair turned the color of ash, but his back stayed straight. He taught Amrit to read from the same radio that now caught BBC Urdu, taught her to milk Chandni's granddaughter, taught her the names of every star visible from the Thar. Every season a leather pouch arrived by camel post, rupees, a lock of black hair, a beedi wrapped in red thread. Virji kept them in a tin box under the sharpai. He never opened the letters. He could not read, but he pressed the hair to his lips when the nights were long. On Amrit's 7th birthday, a storm came from the west, carrying the smell of jasmine and camel sweat. Layla rode at the head of a caravan. 3 camels, 2 cousins, 1 girl with rain-colored eyes and a laugh like bells. Virji was mending the fence. He looked up and the hammer fell from his hand. Layla dismounted. She wore the same gagra, mirrors dulled by sand, but her smile was new, softer, worn at the edges. Amrit ran to her, then stopped, shy. Layla knelt, opened her arms. The girl went slowly, then all at once. Virji stood rooted. Layla looked at him over Amrit's head. The desert kept its promise, she said. That night they sat under the peepal. Amrit fell asleep between them, thumb in mouth. The radio played an old song, Ye Rat Firna Ayegi. Fireflies stitched gold through the dark. Layla spoke first. My people move to the Indus, the sands shift. The old roots drown. I came to ask, Virji's heart thundered. Will you come with us? You and the girl. The tree has water now. It will remember your mother without you. Virji looked at the hut, the well, the cows. He looked at Amrit's small hand curled around his finger. He looked at Layla's eyes, black, bright, unblinking. He stood. I will bring the cradle, he said, and the tin box. They left at dawn. Virji rode behind Layla, Amrit tied to his chest with his old kurta. The cows followed on a rope, lowing complaint. The peepal tree waved once, twice, then settled into the sand like a woman smoothing her sari. Years later, travelers on the new highway would swear they saw a tall tree in the middle of nowhere, roots glowing silver under moonlight. Beside it a cradle rocked though no wind blew, and if they listened they could hear bells, slow, steady, coming from the heart of the desert. They would say a shy farmer gave his seed to a wild woman, and the Thar gave back rain. They would call it a love story, but the dunes know better. Some stories are not about love. They are about promises kept when no one is watching.